Hello and welcome to another edition of the Spike Ridgley Show. Our show is being brought to you all season long by Reliable Heating and Cooling in Massillon. I'm your host, Robert Freilich, and with me is head coach of the Massillon Tiger baseball team, Coach Ridgley. Coach, welcome to the show.
It's good to be here with a former algebra student.
Your Tigers have completed your regular season schedule and have finished with a 15-7 record. Since our last show, your team played 4 more games and picked up wins in 3 of the 4. Let's talk about those games now, starting with last Tuesday's night's 1 loss at Dover.
Yeah, we played Dover a couple times last week. We got them coming up here in the tournament, so we'll get a little bit more in depth with those guys here in a moment.
All right. Your team came back the next night and beat the same Dover team 4-2. What do you remember about that one?
Well, I thought we played pretty well. Tough opponent, just like the night before. Got a good scouting report, as they do on us, and it should make this a pretty good game here coming Thursday.
Prior to the start of last Wednesday's game, you had the opportunity to recognize your seniors and say thank you to several teachers during your teacher appreciation night. Tell us more about that.
You know, it was a really good night for us. The weather was perfect. The reason that we combined the two things is because the senior night had been rained out from the previous, I think it was like 2 Fridays earlier, it was the last Friday in April. We had some rain, so we had to get a little bit creative, and we were able to do that. The Booster Club did a great job of helping to put that together. The educators were flexible, as well as the parents with the seniors. We were able to have sort of a dual event, and it turned out really neat because we honored the educator first for each senior, which is a big deal for us because our teachers just do so much for our kids. And then we went right to honoring the families and the seniors. So to have everybody there together was a neat sort of twist that we hadn't done before. Like I said, the weather kind of forced that a little bit. But now to see how that went, you almost think about maybe doing that from now on that way because it was such a positive evening for the educators as well as the kids and parents.
And finally, the last regular season game was played Monday night at home against Waynedale. You came away with an 8-3 win as the offense pounded out 10 hits.
Yeah, the last couple of games, with Thursday night, we picked up Thursday night against Alliance over at Alliance, and I think they were 18-5 when we played them, and then Waynedale came in 16-5, and we combined in those 2 games, we had I think 26 hits. Which was really good to see. You know, the kids have been working really hard. And then it's against 2 quality teams, 2 teams that have played really well and been very consistent throughout the season. And then in Waynedale, you had a defending state champion team. I think they're Division III, and they threw 2 of their good pitchers at us. They threw their number 2. He's a left-handed kid that pitched the district championship, regional championship, and state championship last year. We were able to score 4 runs off of him and hit the ball well. And then they brought in I think it's their number 3 after that, was a pretty good throwing right-hander. So, we picked that game up along with Alliance because we want to play 2 really good opponents right before we go into the tournament. And, the competition's ticked up and our kids have stepped up to this point, and it's been good to see. But, as anything else, each moment's different, and the next 7 innings are the most important 7 innings.
Mm-hmm. When we come back, we'll visit with a Tiger player. But first, a word from Reliable Heating and Cooling.
There was a time when 10 miles to the gallon was acceptable. Today's 40-plus mile per gallon cars weren't even in the rearview mirror back then. Of course, this Lennox air conditioner wasn't on the radar either. It's solar ready, the quietest, most energy-efficient air conditioner you can own. It's time to live in the now.
Call Reliable Heating and Cooling for the most advanced technology in heating and air conditioning. When you're ready to live in the now, call Reliable Heating and Cooling.
Lennox, air is life. Make it perfect.
Thanks, Reliable Heating and Cooling, and welcome back to the Spike Ridgley Show. The Tiger player joining us this week is senior outfielder Xavier Hamid. Xavier, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Xavier, what are your earliest memories of playing baseball, and who taught you the game?
I have to say my earliest memories of playing baseball is playing up at the Little League fields in Massillon. I remember there was like an orange, black, and a white team, if I remember correctly, maybe even a gray team. And pretty much like all my buddies played at that point, and that's really what got me into the game. And my dad signed me up, and he's really who made my love for baseball, because he played baseball when he was younger, and that's part of the reason why I started.
What were some of the things you worked on in the off season to make yourself better this year?
In the off season, so I actually swim as well, and with doing that, I had to make sure that I was hitting and throwing, and staying in the weight room, and just overall getting myself ready for the season, trying to be the best version of myself.
As a senior, what do you feel is your role on this team?
As a senior, I know there's 9 of us this year. I feel like it's our job to really set the standard for the younger guys and show them what it's like to go through the program, and just be a role model for what it's supposed to look like for those guys.
Describe for us some of the traits it takes to be a good outfielder.
To be a good outfielder, I think just track the ball well, get good jumps to the ball. I think our outfield this year is pretty quick. We're all really fast, so being fast also helps. You can chase down the balls of the gap, and a good arm.
Finally, tell us something about Coach Ridgley most people probably don't know.
Most people might not. Something that I actually just recently found out is before coaching, he had a degree in either business or marketing, I want to say. And before teaching, that's what he did, and that's something that I didn't know until just recently.
All right. Thanks, Xavier, and best of luck against Dover in your tournament game on Thursday night. Coach Ridgley will rejoin the program in just a moment.
Hello, and welcome to the Stark County Humane Society. Today we're going to give you a few pointers when considering adopting a new furry friend. All animals here at the Stark County Humane Society are spayed, neutered, microchipped, vaccinated, dewormed, and if old enough, heartworm tested for our canine friends. Adopters will receive a free exam within 2 weeks of adoption at local veterinarian hospitals. We encourage all adopters to take full advantage of this. A one-time adoption fee is required for your new furry friend. When you adopt, you get an awesome adoption packet that includes treats for your new fur baby and savings for you. But this is not where the cost of adoption stops. Did you know the average cost of an animal like a new puppy or kitten can cost up to $500 annually? This includes annual veterinarian visits, preventative care, and everyday supplies like crate, litter, food, toys. But I hope this doesn't scare you away. Adopting an animal is a huge responsibility and a commitment. Please take the time to consider the cost of adopting a new pet into your family today. I hope to see you soon at the Stark County Humane Society. Please visit our website or visit us on social media for more information.
Welcome back to the Spike Ridgley Show. Coach, we just spoke with senior outfielder Xavier Hamid in our last segment. He's another senior that I'm sure you're going to miss after he graduates.
Yeah, he's a great kid, tremendous athlete. He's one of the faster players I've ever coached. But more than anything, I mean, he's a solid defender in the outfield. He gives you a strong at bat. He gives you a really tough at bat. But the thing that I'll always remember about him is that he always put the team first, no matter what. And in many moments, put himself second in order to do that. And, that's just such leadership qualities in a young man and somebody that really just, it was fun to watch. It was fun to see. It was fun to see the dedication. And it's something that I think is a trait that will really serve him well as he gets older and moves on in his life. It's just such a loyal and team leader with the way he always puts the team first.
We have just one more game to talk about this week, and it's your first tournament game. The Tigers host Dover this Thursday at 5 p.m. at the Doug.
Yep, so both teams are with the bye, so the tournament actually starts tonight, so some teams will play on this Tuesday. they're going to play a first-round game, and then the winners play somebody that got a bye. So for us, as we talked about last week, because somebody in our district decided not to be a part of the tournament, there is no game in front. So both teams will have a bye for Thursday, and both teams will throw their best at each other. As we learned last week, they're a very solid, fundamental team. They beat us 1-0 the first game of last week, and the pitcher threw a great game against us and just really held us in check. And then on the following day, it was 4-2, and we were able to come out on top. And it's just very, very closely matched. We're very evenly matched, in my opinion, and I think, really it's going to come down to, what team executes their plan better, which team throws more strikes, limits base runners, limits walks, and just takes care of their opportunities when they get a chance. And it should be a pretty electric atmosphere, and it should be a nice crowd, and both teams coming in playing well. It's going to be a good game.
You played Dover twice last week, splitting the two games. Mm-hmm. What did you learn about those two games up against the tournament?
Yeah, like I said, some of what I said there, just kind of repeating that, we're very evenly matched. But, we've been playing them now for 8 years since I've been here, and it's split right down the middle. When we first got here, we won 4 or 5 in a row against them, and then they won the last 4 or 5, and then we got the one on Wednesday of that week. They got us Tuesday, we got them Wednesday, but it's such a closely matched lineup. When you look at the pitching matchups, you look at the what they like to do, what we like to do. They're very fundamentally sound defensively. Very well coached, and I think we can't wait to get out there and compete, because it's a great opponent, and it's usually a great atmosphere and a great competitive situation when we're on the field with them.
How is your pitching staff set up as you head into the tournament?
Well, on Waynedale, we threw Anthony Wilbur. He pitched 5 innings for us, and then we gave Drew Stitt the night off. Drew's going to be a factor in that game Thursday. So we want to rest his arm. And then we threw Matt McGeorge for 1 inning last night. And we also threw Christian Marsh for 1 inning. So we're trying to make sure, that we have our top 3 guys ready to go, and all hands on deck in a 7-inning game. And if you want to relate it to professional baseball, each one of our games is like Game 7, because it's a 1-game series. Every pitch is so magnified because of that, but it's also why you do it. There's no other feeling. Some kids are going to get their first experience with this, and until you've been in the dugout for one of those games, there's nothing like it. It's an incredible feeling. The adrenaline's unbelievable, and it's one of the most emotional and physically taxing things you can do, but it's also one of the more fun things you can do too, to be in that moment with the kids and watch them compete.
As best as you can, describe for us how the pressure changes from the regular season into the tournament play.
A lot of people say it doesn't. I don't agree with that. I mean, you always try to you always want to be at your best. You always want to play your best. But there's ebbs and flows throughout a season. You're trying to get that seed, and you work through the whole season trying to play well to have the best possible record you can have when you get to the tournament. And then we put the draw in, and you vote, and that's all done. And then there's 3 or 4 games in between. And so now you're trying to make sure that your adrenaline is what it is, and you're trying to get the kids locked in and get them feeling the same way as they do when they're earning that seed. It's a difficult thing to do, but the kids have done a pretty good job with it. And then, you don't have to spend as much time with that for a tournament game, because it naturally happens. So the time that you would spend in the games leading up to the tournament trying to create that same atmosphere competitively for your guys, there's some work that goes into that. And then the tournament game takes care of itself, because that's because of the known factors of a tournament game and how important it is. That game itself, you don't spend much time motivating because the guys are ready. So it's a balance, but I would say that the pressure is why you do it. That feeling that you get for those 7 innings, and you want to keep getting that feeling. So, and then you want to extend the time with your team. You want to be with the guys, because if you win, you get another week with them.
After you get the win on Thursday, and we're going to think positive, what does the rest of the tournament bracket look like?
Well, we're locked in on Thursday. To talk past Thursday right now, I'm not really willing to do because we know what we've got a tough opponent and we got to take care of that. Whoever is fortunate enough to win that game will be Tuesday next week.
All right. As we wrap up this edition of the Spike Ridgley Show, we want to thank Coach Ridgley and senior outfielder Xavier Hamid for joining us. Thanks again to our season-long sponsor, Reliable Heating and Cooling. I'm your host, Robert Froelich. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Tigers.